Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We will call to order and take roll call for our special planning commission meeting of November 21st, 2022. Can we get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Fajardo,
Present.
Commissioner Jackie Lopez,
Present.
Commissioner Gloria Franz,
Present.
Vice Chairperson Christian Rodriguez Ceja, Chairperson Nico Isiano,
Present.
Vice Chairperson Rodriguez Ceja absent.
Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead and do our Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Franz, will you please lead us in our pledge?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Franz. Then next, Jessica, do we have any public comments for any items not on the agenda today?
There are none.
Okay, being there are none, we'll go into our minutes. We have minutes for Planning Commission of meeting of October 26, 2022. Do we have a motion?
A motion to approve.
Okay.
I'll second.
Thank you. Can we please take roll call vote?
Commissioner Fajardo,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Franz,
Yes.
Chairperson Isiano,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to public hearing items, 5.1, approve resolution number 2041, recommending approval for the development of a storage facility located at 81-161 Indio Boulevard. Do we have staff report for that this afternoon? Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Nicolas Huitron, Plant Technician with the Community Development Department. I will be presenting a design review and tentative parcel map for the proposed self-storage project, Indio Self-Storage. The proposed project was reviewed under the previously adopted zoning regulations within the Industrial Park District. The assessor parcel numbers for the proposed project is 610-030-001, which is southwest of Indio Boulevard and east of Madison Street. The address for the location is 81161 Indio Boulevard. The project proposes to subdivide the 5.14 acre site into two lots, lot 1 being 1.56 acres and to be considered not part of the proposed project, whereas lot 2 will have approximately 3.58 acres and will be utilized for the project. The project proposes the development of 5 storage buildings and an office building on the project site. The primary access will be located at Indio Boulevard. The proposed buildings will be a total of 92,696 square feet. The proposed storage building will be 91,696 square feet in total, and the office building will be 1,000 square feet. The maximum height of the buildings will be 22 feet, which is under the allowable height of 35 feet for this zoning designation. The project also proposes access roads, hardscape, parking areas with 23 parking stalls, and landscaped areas. The primary building includes a reception area, offices, a lighting showroom, restrooms, office-related storage areas. Approximately half of the primary building distinctively serves as a warehousing area with commercial pallet racks for box commercial lighting products. The 5 storage warehouses will be utilized for potential customer service uses, and access to the 5 storage facilities will be gated. An initial study was, An initial study with a mitigated negative declaration was circulated for public review from October 11, 2022 through November 11, 2022. The project received no comments from the public or reviewing agencies. The proposed project is compliant with the City of Indio general plan, as well as the previously adopted City of Indio zoning regulations. Therefore, with the application of relevant conditions of approval, the proposed project can be approved. Staff recommends approval of Resolution 2041, a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Indio, conditionally approving a mitigated negative declaration and design review, and to recommend the approval of Resolution 2043 tentative parcel map to the City Council to allow for the development and site planning of a self-storage facility, Indio Self-Storage. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have regarding the project. The project applicant is also in attendance if you have further questions for the applicant. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Nicholas. Commissioners, any questions for staff?
I guess just the usual one. How many storage facilities do we have in the surrounding areas?
Sure what's going on here with this mic, but I think they amended this for the city manager. And in that regard, so in the surrounding area, there are not, I don't believe there are any existing in this immediate surrounding area, but as the commission is well aware, we have several proposed. There are existing mini storage facilities that are concentrated further east along Indio Boulevard in the areas that you might be familiar with, where Martha's Village and Villa Hermosa and some of the other common developments that we talk about. And then there are several new ones that you've recently reviewed in the North Indio area. But in this immediate area, directly off of Indio Boulevard, I don't believe that there are any.
Not one on Madison between Indio Boulevard and Fred Waring?
You got me, Chair. I'm not sure. I'd have to look that up. So if you want to continue, we can look that up. And Kendra's doing some quick Googling right now. We can look that up for you. I cannot remember, honestly, but that if it is, that's probably the closest one.
Okay. It looks like there was an existing building there, which is considered one of the lots that you're dividing into two different parcels, and there's an existing building fronting Indio Boulevard?
Yes.
Okay. And nothing's changing with that. That's not going to be a part of it.
No, so that will be with the tentative parcel map. That'll remove that access there.
Okay. Any other commissioners? Commissioner Fajardo?
No, sir, not at this time. Thank you.
Can I get a better look of, I guess, the outer fencing, how it's going to be secure? I mean, we didn't get a whole lot of images on this one, and I want to make sure what type of fencing and whether we're going to have the possibility of graffiti. We always have graffiti, I know, but how to mitigate some of that.
Yeah, we would need to open the public hearing before we can have anyone else speak. So I actually need to sit down for a moment. But
so if there's no other questions for staff, then we can go ahead and open the public hearing. Sir, please. Thank you. Sorry. Formalities.
Okay, good afternoon. Thanks for having us here to discuss this. So to answer your question, ma'am, I'm sorry, David Meinica with Jordan Architects. To answer your question, the way it was designed is to be the most secure possible and to screen the loading operation. So the majority of the project has the single-story buildings wrapping the perimeter that serves the security. Mm-hmm. And then any gaps in there are filled in with wrought iron and vegetative screens.
Do the buildings abut directly on the property line, or is
no,
there
not directly? There's a little bit of a setback.
Okay.
Can you be more specific, like how much of a setback?
Yeah, let me grab. Yeah, 3 feet minimum.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it looks like it's going to be a lot of open wall space, right? The back of the buildings are going to be open to the public. There's not another building right next to it.
The way that the site lays out, so the way the site lays out is it borders other uses. So it would be a little bit difficult for people to get back there without management seeing. There's also 24/7 digital surveillance, and there is a backup kept on site in the management office.
Okay. So that'll discourage people from.
Yeah, it usually does. Absolutely.
Okay.
Even if it's a dummy camera, it would too.
Okay. Another question is, do you have other storage units, or does the owner or manager have multiple facilities that they've done this before, whether it's in the desert or other areas?
Right. This is the owner's first, but he is also going to use third-party management. Usually one of the REITs will take over, and that's one of like the public storage, extra space, those bigger names. and they're well versed in how to keep a site up and deter graffiti, because obviously it's an issue with any development, of course.
Okay, that's it for now.
Okay, yeah, I think that's all we had for questions, unless you had anything else to add to staff's presentation.
No, staff did a great job. Like I said, thank you guys very much for hearing us out.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Jessica, do we have any public comments on this item?
There are none.
There are none. Okay, being that there are none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and go to commissioner deliberation. Any?
Chair, before you begin your deliberations, to answer your question, there is a storage facility. I think it's called a Prime Storage. It's approximately a half a mile west of this facility, southwest of this facility. So you are correct. Your memory is better than mine. So thank you.
No problem. Thank you for clarifying. Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and go to commissioner deliberation. Commissioners, anyone have any thought, or anyone care to make a motion? Commissioner Fajardo?
No additional comments at this time.
I mean, I don't have any additional comments. We just seem to have quite a bit of storage units in front of us. So maybe that's something that we should look at as a commission going forward. See how many we have, how many are coming in, what exactly they're located across the city. That's probably my biggest concern, but for this project, I don't have any other comments.
I agree. I'd like to see an assessment of how many storage facilities that we have currently, and it's in a queue, and what we have looked over in the last 2 years before us.
So we can provide that information. I do need to remind the commission that that would be in the realm of policy discussion. So it would be more of like a study session orientation where we can provide that information to you. And then at that time, you could decide if you wanted to make a recommendation to your city council about possible actions, such as looking at a possible revision to code or looking at some other action. So we can schedule that for a future agenda, perhaps knowing that we have a large agenda on December 12th, and that's going to be the only meeting of the month. Perhaps we can do this right after the first of the year, if that's okay with the commission. Okay.
Okay, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve resolution number 2044, conditionally approving, oops, sorry, wrong one. Man, I knew I should have taken more coffee before I started today. Approve resolution number 2041, recommending approval for the development of a storage facility located at 81161 India Boulevard, accompanied by the environmental assessment, and recommend the approval of resolution number 2043, tentative partial map number 38335 to the city council. And I think we had some additions, right, that were added to this at the end.
Those comments were given to the planning commission.
Okay, so there was the minor clerical changes to the resolution that were published. And the project applicant also resubmitted their final initial study with mitigated declarations on November 21, 2022. So I think we want to note that that was added on, right? Okay, there's my motion.
I'll go ahead and second that motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we take a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Fajardo,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Franz,
Yes.
Chairperson Isiano,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay, motion carries 4-0. Thank you. We'll move on to item 5.2 for resolution number 2044, a request for master plan development permit approval for the Madison Point mixed use project located southwest intersection of Madison and Highway 111.
Great. Good afternoon, Planning Commission. Again, for the record, Kevin Snyder, Director of Community Development. So before I jump into the staff report on this, I just want to remind the commission that this is the second project that you're looking at under the recently adopted Highway 11 corridor specific plan. Your first project, the Palmera project, was a project that actually went through the second level of review that is made available under that plan called planning permit review, excuse me. This is actually a little bit different version. This is the earlier stage of review where you're doing what's called a master plan development permit review. And the distinction is, in the simplest way to describe it, is this is the part of the project where there is adequate detail about the site layout. There's adequate detail of relative building placement locations, of parking locations, landscape locations. But the applicant at this time is not ready to actually go through full review on the buildings because they're still determining who those end users might be and working with them to identify what those end users want those buildings to look like. So what that means is that as you consider this afternoon, you will not be looking at building elevations. You will not be deciding on the buildings themselves. Those will come back at a later date. If you do deem to grant this conditional approval, those will come back at a later date as those end users are identified and the applicant works with staff and ultimately the Planning Commission in the future to assess those. In some instances, that may also include, and you may remember that the City Council did reserve the right on certain land uses called limited land uses. That may also in the future involve looking at limited land uses and making a recommendation to City Council who would make the final decision on those. So I just want to give you that background because again, we're early in this new plan. We're still working our way through it. At staff level, we're still getting comfortable with it. I know the applicant's still getting comfortable with it. And I know the commission is still getting comfortable with it. So feel free to ask questions as we go through this. I'll try to be as explanatory as I can. So you've actually seen this project before because it's been around for a little while. This Planning Commission has reviewed this previously in our project consultation process where the applicant came forward and kind of gave you a general overview of what the project was going to look and feel like. And in many ways, it's pretty much the same project. So what the applicant has done since coming before you initially is initially, they were going to do a different project where they were going to create their own specific plan and bring that to the commission, ultimately the council for review. But they ultimately decided to go under the Highway 11 corridor specific plan. So this project was developed and refined with that specific plan in mind. They tracked it. They worked with us as that process came to an end with the adoption of the specific plan in September. So the site location, just for the record, this should be familiar to most of you. This is at the southwest corner of Highway 111 and Madison Street. That building in the extreme portion of the site, that's actually not part of the project, but it's the Walgreens. So kind of a location for you. If you know where that Walgreens is, this project will wrap around that Walgreens. So as I mentioned, again, southwest corner of Highway 111 in Madison. Again, this is master plan development permit approval. This is for the Highway 11 corridor specific plan. And this would be a mixed use project. Mixed use more on the horizontal orientation. So you would be looking at potentially up to 400 senior housing apartment units, perhaps a 130 key hotel and 30,000 square feet of office and medical office space and about 15,500 square feet of commercial retail uses, all supported by open space, recreational and outdoor gathering spaces, and also pedestrian access and integration between the on-site uses and the surrounding public street system and sidewalks. So when we reviewed this project, we certainly began looking at it with compliance with the General Plan 2040, which is the foundation for the Highway 11 corridor specific plan. And the project is consistent and compliant with the General Plan 2040. It can also be, it is also compliant or can be made found compliant through through conditions of approval with the Highway 11 corridor specific plan. And as a reminder, the specific plan is established in a certain way where there are sub areas throughout the approximately 4 mile corridor. And so each area has a certain number of properties in it. And this area was looked at under sub area 8, and it was compared against the requirements for that area. As you also may remember, the Highway 11 corridor specific plan does break those sub areas into different zones. And so we have the mixed use corridor zone and also the neighborhood general zone applying to this property. We also looked at this from the CEQA standpoint, or the California Environmental Quality Act. And what we do know is that recently, when you reviewed the Highway 11 Corridor Specific Plan, you made a recommendation to City Council, and they accepted your recommendation in their adoption of the specific plan to make a finding of consistency of the specific plan with the program final environmental impact report for the General Plan 2040 that was certified by the City Council on September 18th, 2019. And so in looking at this project, we also determined that this project was what we call CEQA compliant in terms of being consistent with that program final environmental impact. And there are various sections of CEQA, more recent sections, that allow a city, such as the city of Indio, to make a determination that no further environmental review is necessary when you can determine that there is a finding of consistency. So again, this project was found consistent with the overall General Plan 2040 and with the program final environmental impact report for that General Plan 2040. So no additional environmental review is needed for this project. So with that, and I just realized I have a slight error. It should say resolution 2044, but the staff is recommending approval of resolution 2044, conditionally approving the master plan development permit for the Madison Point mixed use project, and also making a finding of consistency with the program final environmental impact report for the General Plan 2040 that was certified by the City Council. Again, this is the resolution reference is wrong. My apologies for that. This is resolution 2044, which is represented in the staff report documents. At this time, staff is happy to answer any questions the commission might have. The project applicant is here and is also happy to answer questions, and they may have some comments and questions to make to you as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions for staff before we open the public hearing and talk to the applicant? Commissioner Fajardo, any questions for staff?
Not at this time, sir. Very thorough. Thank you.
Real quick, Kevin, I mean, it's been quite a while since we first looked at that plan, what was originally intended. I know you say this is not much different. I don't recall much specifically regarding what we saw once upon a time. Are we seeing anything more specific as to what's changed, or?
Not really. No, the uses pretty much are the same that you reviewed before. Where the changes really came is they looked at several specific plan requirements, for example, connectivity. So they really refined the connectivity program for the property, looking at how to connect to the west and also how to connect to the existing surrounding street system. So they have both vehicular and pedestrian connections throughout the overall site that are intended to create that connectability so that both vehicular and pedestrian traffic can flow across the site without having to leave the site, which is one of the major goals of both the specific plan and the general plan.
I know also we've done some, approved some other projects within, quarter mile, half mile further west down 111. With this back in the fold, are there any changes regarding like traffic, signaling, entrances, exits?
No, this project was reviewed by our public works staff, our city consulting traffic engineer, and our city engineer. And there are conditions of approval that are recommended for this project to address traffic circulation. But there was no extraordinary traffic analysis needed for this because, again, it was deemed consistent with the overall environmental documentation that previously analyzed traffic patterns in terms of trip generation and trip distribution, and also access to various properties throughout the corridor.
Okay. We'll go ahead and open the public hearing. And did the applicant want to speak, or are they just open to questions?
I'm going to assume the applicant wants to speak.
Okay. We'll open the public hearing.
My name is Paul DePilatus. Sure. Yeah, my name is Paul DePilatus. I'm the planning director for MSA Consulting, and appreciate being before you tonight. Especially thank Kendra and Kevin for working hard to get us on this this special meeting for the holidays, and also for all of you to make arrangements for that. So that was much appreciated. Staff did a good presentation. Just for some background, the owner, Richard Smith, has had this property for quite a few years, actually dating back to the original PDP that was approved for this in 2009. So he's been a constant on the property since then. Probably 2.5 years ago, decided that it really needed kind of a facelift, and the market had changed, and decided to come in, as Kevin mentioned, with a specific plan to replace that old PDP on it. During the ensuing year or so, the specific plan for Highway 111 came along, and we decided that, just in terms of coordination with the city, we should sort of pivot and make ourselves part to that plan and sort of come in underneath that. So as Kevin mentioned, that's kind of what's before you tonight. Don't have a lot to add to what he said. The plan is one that we think is implementable right now. And there are representatives of the ownership and also a development partner here tonight if you have any questions regarding that. And otherwise, we're just here to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you.
Now or later.
Thank you, Paul. Any questions for the applicant, Laura?
I usually have one or two.
Sure.
So I love the fact that you guys came in and worked under the Highway 111 specific plan. We worked on that for quite a while, so I'm excited when people actually use it. So that was very nice. The senior housing, I think that's much needed in our area. So I think that's going to be a great addition. When I look at this, I see a lot of open parking spaces, right? And are these apartments, are you thinking they would be parking underneath, or are people just going to park out in the open? Is there going to be shade structures? I mean, it's, we all know how hot it gets out here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Actually, so this plan is, the refinements to it will be coming. I think that the plan was to put carports on it, correct? So all those ones around the edge, carports were intended there. So if you want to make a note of that, that would be fine. But that was our plan to do that.
Okay.
But if I could just add to what Paul said, I think, that would be another opportunity to review that consideration is when the future reviews come in. And at that time, again, knowing who the end users are, that will help define probably the need and the location of those covers. Although as Paul's indicated, and I think, there's likely an interest in that. We're also starting to see this becoming more commonplace out here in our interactions with most development parties.
Yeah, so we would bring that forward to you, but I think, you're on the same page that our ownership group is on that.
That's great. I figured the more we ask up front, the easier it'll be when you come back, right?
Always good.
So are these apartments, how many stories?
The density is, thinking there'd be 3 stories max, and I can't recall what the density was we had for that.
As the preliminary plans show that they could be 3 stories, and then the layout shows, kind of the overall layout. So they won't be mass. I mean, they'll be typical for what you've seen in Indio in terms of the massing of 3-story walk-up apartments. But go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, when you start looking at the densities you're looking at in this specific plan, you have to get up to probably 3 stories with the buildings. And I think you've already got some precedent for that here along 111 corridor.
Yeah. Okay.
I want to add one more.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm John Lowe, one of the owners' representative. Potentially, it could be up to 4 stories based on the density, but that 4-story segment would be held further away from the residential property line.
Okay. That's important. Okay. I think those are all my questions right now.
Thank you. Commissioner Fajardo, any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, thank you, John. Very well done. Appreciate the opportunity to work with you folks, and equally excited to work under the new plan. Just a quick question. I realized that the concepts that were provided were for illustrative purposes, and I really appreciated both the access map as well as the pedestrian map. I guess my question is this: knowing that it could change in terms of your mixed development, where you foresee perhaps your tenants sort of housing on your property, will that in any way impact the existing pedestrian paths that you folks have illustrated in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah, so the ownership's been out talking to developers during this last year, and they're pretty confident that the layout you see in front of them will be pretty close to what they'll come back with. So, the segregation of that area for the senior apartments versus the commercial versus the hotel, those are fairly well situated in terms of segments of the property. So, those access routes up to 111 and then to Young's Lane and the other way across, those would be maintained and provide that sort of unifying corridor within the various uses. So we don't expect that to change appreciably.
Okay, thank you for that. Appreciate that.
Sure.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner. I don't think there's any further questions. Do we have any public comments to speak on this item?
Written comments were received and distributed to the commissioners and posted on the City of Indio's website and meeting agenda portal.
Thank you. All right, being that there is no other additional public comments, we'll close the public hearing and move to commissioner deliberation.
I mean, honestly, I think this is a very nice addition to that part of our community. I think it's great use of that corner. That space has been there for a long time, and senior apartments are definitely something that we need today. And we'd love to see those, break ground as soon as possible. The only comments I want to have is just to make sure that as they develop this site a little bit more, that they keep an eye on outdoor activities for seniors, walkability, connections, shade structures, maybe even a dog park. I don't know if I saw that anywhere, things to make life a little bit easier for our seniors. It'll be nice that they can maybe walk to see their doctor, maybe walk to Walgreens, and maybe there'll be a nice little restaurant in the hotel, that would be really nice for the people that live in that area. So I just really want to see that we are, working to, use the least amount of water possible, but still keep things looking beautiful for our residents and just make it a nice place to live. And like I said, I think it's a great use of that space that's been there for quite a long time. So I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of the plans and the details that will come in the near future.
Thank you, Gloria.
Again, going along the lines of the senior housing as well. Again, it's much needed here in our city. Looking forward to the hotel and again, our city acquiring some of that TOT in the future. But again, that's an important corridor to our city. And so really excited to see that space. So it's perfect. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Commissioner Fardo?
Yeah, I want to echo the same sentiments as my fellow commissioners. Just really excited to see the growth of that area. It's been a dirt lot for quite some time. I have a lot of family and relatives that live there at the Madison Ranch community. They're pretty excited about seeing that. They appreciate the fact that there's been a quality study put into this and some outreach for prospective tenants. So do look forward to the opportunity to seeing what you folks come back with once things begin to shape up and this becomes more and more of a reality. So thank you.
Thank you. Yes, also, I'm looking forward to seeing some senior housing put in place. I personally have been looking for senior housing for some family members, over the last several years, and it's a tough go. And, in Indio, even in La Quinta Palm Desert, it's lacking across the valley. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of that added to our side of town. And thank you for, as you said, kind of pivoting and taking our specific 111 corridor plan into consideration, and hopefully that can help, as you continue to work with staff to speed things through. Looking forward to seeing something else brought back. All right.
I'll go ahead and make a motion if
Okay.
you're ready.
Thank you.
Motion to approve resolution 2044, request for the master plan development permit approval for the Madison Point mixed-use project located southwest of the intersection of Madison Street and Highway 111, pursuant to the Highway 111 corridor specific plan adopted on September 21st, 22, and finding that the project is exempt for further environmental pursuant to section 1513A3, of the California Environment Quality Act, which is CEQA guidelines. I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Can we please take a roll call vote?
Commissioner Fajardo,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Franz,
Yes.
Chairperson Isiano,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right, congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, staff, for your report. Okay, next we have staff items. Kevin?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Not much to report, but do want to remind the commission that your December 12th meeting will be a special meeting. And so we will be holding that at 6 p.m., but it will be on December 12th, which is a Monday. So just keep that in mind, and we will duly advertise it. It will be a busy agenda. I think we have a total of 5 items. one project consultation and several other projects, three of which are housing. Yeah, please jump in.
We have one project consultation for an affordable housing project. So they're just coming to get your guys' thoughts and feedback on what they're proposing. And then two apartment complexes that are proposed to be built in downtown. Our new city hall and library project will also be on the agenda, as well as the mapping for the Palmera project that you recently approved.
Thank you.
In case you didn't hear that, new city hall. So you will be reviewing plans for the new city hall and the new library. And we are, at the staff level, we're ecstatic. So we're hoping that you like the plans as much as we do.
I was going to say, do we get like to pick where a cup holder might go or some kind of?
You can help us do the offices. You can help us figure
Yeah,
that out.
go ahead.
Will it be here at this location, or will it be located someplace else?
So the new city hall will be officially right across the campus here where our existing library is. It will go in that location. A new library will be built on the other side of this building in the parking lot area. So, and that's going to be a brand new library building. And then this space is being looked at as being possibly transitioned into a meeting space, just for a larger meeting space, whether for trainings or community meetings. But yes, we're super excited. This has been something that's been worked on, and you guys are gonna put your stamp on it and your thoughts on it, and you get to look at it in less than 30 days.
As long as we get invited to the groundbreaking. Yes.
Yes. Don't worry. I've been beating the drum on that. I promise. That one I can actually help assure. The other ones are a little more challenging.
Question. I know that we had stated it would be a special meeting moved up a couple of days as well. Had we discussed an earlier time, or is it still?
At this time, it's still at 6, but we have time. If the commission this evening wanted to give direction, we could change the time.
I mean, being that it's a long.
I'd be open to a earlier time.
There's a total of 5 agenda items, so it could be a longer meeting than normal, but we're trying to wrap several projects up before the end of the year.
Yeah, I would be of the school of thought that when we move it up to 5, or I could.
I mean, I'm fine with 4.
I'm fine with 4 as well.
I mean, 5 items could be a long night.
Commissioner Fajardo?
4 o'clock works.
Can we have time to make that work then?
Yes, we have time to advertise, I believe, appropriately. So it is a special meeting, so we will do it as a 4 o'clock start time, similar to this meeting. And it will be a bigger agenda than normal, but a lot of exciting projects. The downtown housing projects you've actually seen, those are the 2 on Oasis. So they've made their way through the process, the 20-unit, 30-unit project, the affordable housing project at Kendra. That's a new player in affordable housing that's looking to do their first project in the city. Some really exciting stuff. And then the tentative map for Palmera that will help that project move to the next level.
Is there anything that we might want to see printed? I mean, these are a lot of projects. So maybe I guess when we get them, if we decide we need a printed copy, we can let you know, but we don't get a whole lot of heads up because we see them on Friday.
If the commissioners, any commissioner, all commissioners want the packets printed, we're happy to do that. We don't do it normally because obviously there's a cost both in terms of trees and time, but we're happy to do that if you can just give us a event. So for example, if you told us this evening, yes, we'd like hard copies, we could do that. Or if you give us at least 72 hours notice, I'm looking at Jessica to what's reasonable.
Well, so then the Planning Commission meeting the agenda will be released on Thursday. And I won't be here that Friday.
Yeah.
So
we can figure that out. So again,
Monday I could have it ready by then. If you guys could just let me know. Just email me.
Well, I mean, we don't need the whole packet. What I like to see is like some of the architectural features for the buildings. So maybe could we pick and choose what we want? So you guys don't print 2,000 pages, maybe you only print 200 or something. I mean, I know the
agenda and then just send me the items.
Mike.
Yeah.
If you'd like to just take a look at the agenda when it's published and then just email me the item that you would like it printed.
So will it be released like in the morning? Because if you're going to be gone Friday.
It's typically released Thursday night, only because
Okay.
special meetings can be published 24 hours before special meetings.
Okay, so then I'll make a commitment to look at it right away and see if there's a few pages that I would like.
And certainly, you know, again, even though Jessica may be out, if there's certain pages you want printed, we will get you the information. The hardest part sometimes is getting it to you physically, but if you can work with us, other than yourself, you have a built-in delivery service. But just let us know. We'll make it work. And you know, we will figure that out on our side. We have other staff resources we can turn to if Jessica's not available. So just let us know what you want. And if you're looking, for example, as Commissioner Franz said, for building elevations specifically, or anything that's, you know, looking at kind of site details, we can certainly print out all that information for you if it's of interest to, you know, one or all of the commissioners. Just let us know what you're, and I would recommend just reaching out directly to Jessica between now and the Thursday before, so that we know what you're thinking. Then the only other item, I just want to take a moment. So Nicholas Gutron, this was his first presentation to the commission, and he worked really hard to prepare for this. So I just want to say congratulations to him. He did an excellent job. And Nico's been with us now coming up on 5 months, and he's doing a great job. And we wanted to give him a chance to get a little bit of experience presenting to the commission. So thank you for allowing us to do that. And thank you to Nico for doing a great job.
Thank you. It was well done.
Gracias, Nico.
In such a short time.
Yeah. Well, we shouldn't tell, but we kind of sprung this on Nico like 3 days ago. So he did awesome.
Never known. Good job. Thank you.
So that's it with staff reports, unless there's any questions for staff.
No, I don't think so. All right. No commissioner comments? I'm thinking, hoping.
Happy
Yeah.
holidays. Have a happy holidays with your family, and thank you so much for putting this special meeting together. But that's all I have to say.
Wonderful. All right.
Yeah, thank you, Commission, for being available for the special meeting when we know that we were asking a lot for the night before Thanksgiving. So thank you for your indulgence and your flexibility. And on behalf of staff and the rest of the city's personnel, we do wish all the commissioners a happy Thanksgiving and enjoy the time with your family and friends.
Likewise. Okay, we will
Thank
go
you.
ahead
Happy Thanksgiving.
and adjourn until next planning meeting, special meeting for Monday, December 12th, 2022.
All right.